Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and with me, as always, is usually Juicy, and Juicy is joining us tonight. Welcome to the show, Juicy.
Oh, what's up, everybody? What's up, Fishbowl Nation?
The whole Fishbowl Nation is always having a good time, ain't they?
Always.
Always.
A party over here.
Well, we got a couple of topics here to talk about here today. Louisiana extended Billy Napier's contract through 2025. So, Juicy, think it's a good, bad move, indifferent?
I mean, the way he's going after 2 years, I mean, you could make the argument for why it'd be a good move, but I'm not always so quick to. I'm kind of reluctant because I always believe a coach needs at least 3 full seasons, one way or the other, because his recruits have time to filter in more and more of it by then. It'll pretty much all be his recruits by then to see how it goes. But I mean, if they're confident, I mean, you gotta trust the university and the sports department to know what they do, and athletic director and all that.
Yeah, it is a very interesting situation, but the reason why they're extending these contracts for Billy Napier, which I don't think a lot of people really are talking about it too much, is to make this buyout. Let's say if Napier gets on a run next year, wins Sun Belt Championship, and has an 11 or a 10-win season next year again, you're going to have a lot more schools kind of looking at him and wanting to pony up some more money to buy him out. This does protect Louisiana in the long term. Because you might have if you really believe in your product and who you brought along, you're going to try to keep what you brought here for a long period of time. You're not just going to sit there and just be like, oh, I'm going to let this program come along and give him like $6 million to go leave my program from a little tiny G5 school like Louisiana is.
It does secure him, but if he averages like 10, 11 wins over the next 2 or 3 years, I'm sure think that at least some good medium-sized schools will probably start looking at it. Like, you got like opportunity schools, the MAC, and you got schools like that can probably offer a little bit more money, and that's where that comes into play. But that's the problem being too good of a coach sometimes. That's the downfall of it.
Yeah, like I say, it is good for like a school like Louisiana to have their coach taken from them. You want to know why? Because if you're a up and coming coach and you know you're a pretty good coach, if you get taken, like, this school is like a stepping stone. I can go to other schools, like kind of like a lot of coaches went to Arkansas State, Gus Malzahn and others, and they jumped to bigger programs. Like Gus Malzahn went from Arkansas State to Auburn.
You might get like a school like Boise State that would start looking at Billy Napier, or like a school size like that, somebody a little bit higher up. Or you could get like a weak Power 5 school, like Kansas went out on a limb with Les Miles, or you might get a Vanderbilt or something that might give them a shot. That's the downfall of just being too good of a coach at a small school.
Like the small schools are the ones that are going to take more chances, and they're going to
keep them around forever.
Like in Napier, he's like a descendant right of Nick Saban's coaching tree, and we know how successful Nick Saban has been. A lot of Nick Saban's coaches under his tree have had some success.
Not against him. He has never had a success to beat him, though.
Yeah, that is one thing. But like that's
against,
yeah, the student trying to beat the teacher is always a hard one to win. But I mean, Kirby Smart was under Nick Saban at one point.
Yep, and he still never beat him either.
Yeah, but that's his job. He's got to try to figure a way to beat his teacher, and that's hard to do. Like you got to try to beat the person that taught you how to do what you had to do.
Jeremy Pruitt in Tennessee, another one.
Yeah, that he's like I said, he has a very wide array of coaches because Nick Saban's been coaching since the '90s that I can think of.
Nick Saban is off the Bill Belichick tree, actually.
Yeah. So I mean, he's learned from Bill Belichick, and I mean,
He used to be his defensive coordinator when Bill Belichick was.
but isn't Bill Belichick under Bill Parcells' coaching tree?
Huh? Yeah, Bill Belichick is on.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells, so it all stems down.
Yeah.
from
So.
Bill Parcells has a lot of.
So you can see how everything that Nick Saban learned from Bill Belichick.
So we're just connecting all the dots of y'all how to get to Billy Napier.
Yeah, so this is so Bill Parcells taught Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick taught Nick Saban. Nick Saban taught Billy Napier.
And all these other college head coaches they got going.
Yeah, and the wide array of tree that Nick Saban has in college football is pretty deeply rooted.
Yep.
So I think it's good for Louisiana. Because so far it looks like he's got them trending. I could tell the football team's a lot better than it's been in a couple of years. Hopefully they can fill the stands of Cajun Field next season whenever he's going to be in his third year.
Every time you go to those games, they kind of usually 2/3 full.
Yeah. It's like they average about 15,000, 16,000 toward the end of the year. Usually their first games they have most heavily attended game.
When the stadium can hold probably about 30,000.
30, 40,000. I think it's 40. Yeah, something. But it's about halfway full usually. So I mean, hey, I would definitely go check out the Raging Cajuns if I lived in Lafayette because they actually are a pretty good football team.
I would say if you're a new couple looking to go on a date, I would definitely recommend a UL football game.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. And besides, they got the cheapest concessions of any.
Concessions. The basketball games are fun too, and the baseball games are also fun.
Well, Raging Cajuns basketball team isn't doing too good this year, but that's a topic for another day. We'll do some more coverage on them later on this year once we get closer to Sun Belt Conference Championship time.
Cajun Field is a beautiful venue to go check out.
It's an interesting one. It's because it's built underneath the sea level and stuff like that. So
it's like a big bowl.
All right. Next thing we're going to talk about is keeping along with the Raging Cajuns. We're going to pick their bowl game. But we picked it already, but we're going to reiterate it. We're going to go in more detail about the game itself, like we would the national championship game with LSU and Clemson. So here I am looking at ESPN, and their matchup predictor has the Raging Cajuns at 81% to win this game compared to Miami, Ohio's 19%. Raging Cajuns offense has scored 38 points a game, and Miami, Ohio's only scored 24 points a game. Their defense of the Raging Cajuns only allowed 20 points. Miami, Ohio's allowed 28. Total yardage of offense for the Raging Cajuns, they have 501 yards of offense, and Miami, Ohio's at 305 on average. Yards in passing, Raging Cajuns have 236. Miami, Ohio's 172. And yards rushing, they have 265 yards of rushing, and Miami, Ohio's 133 yards of rushing. Yards allowed, let's see, the Raging Cajuns have given up 373. Miami, Ohio's given 380. Passing yards allowed, 193 for the Cajuns, 206 for the Red Hawks of Miami, Ohio. Rushing yards allowed, 179 for the Cajuns, and Miami, Ohio, 174. If you look at all these categories here, it looks like the Raging Cajuns, they only fall short in one category, and that's rushing yards allowed.
Mm-hmm.
So, Juicy, who you think has got the advantage in this game?
Well, my first thought is, after hearing all that, how did Miami, Ohio even get to a bowl game? Because those stats are atrocious. Especially the offensive stats, 300 and something. 308 yards a game. How do you win 6 games? But nonetheless,
They won. Miami, Ohio's won 8 games this year.
wow.
So I mean, yeah, so the only common opponent that both these schools have is Ohio. Miami, Ohio beat Ohio 24-21 on November the 6th. The Cajuns played the Bobcats earlier this year, which was their 4th game of the season. And they ended up beating Ohio 45-25, and that was an away game for the Raging Cajuns.
I will say though that for my pick, I'll have to go with the Cajuns on this one, but all I'm gonna say is, from watching some of these bowl games so far, I'm gonna go with the Cajuns, but never count out the underdog. Never count out. I wouldn't count out nobody after some of these bowl games I've seen. You never know.
But usually that's what the bowl season usually is. You'll find some of these teams that come out of nowhere and they'll just get hot and they'll end up winning. I mean, they had, like, the Cajuns have a long break. Like, this is next Monday is gonna be the 6th of January, and the Cajuns haven't played anybody since December the 7th.
But you gotta realize Miami, Ohio's had plenty of time to focus on the Cajuns too, though.
Yeah, they both last game was December the 7th. Miami, Ohio beat Central Michigan.
But, well, the whole conference must be whacked then. If Miami, Ohio won it with those comp stats.
And, I mean,
Their
Central...
conference championship game.
Yeah, it's interesting. Miami, Ohio won the MAC championship, so they are the MAC champions.
So their whole conference must be whacked for them to win.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's interesting because it's like you would think that it wouldn't be the way it is, but it is.
But all I'll say is, only say that because Miami, Ohio's had just as much amount of time to focus. It's not a trap game after this, so all their attention can be on the Cajuns too, for being off for this long.
So, what I believe, I'm thinking the Cajuns
should win the game.
Yeah, I think the Cajuns can win this game. They control every single category. Like, if you gave someone this a letter, like, this is Team A, this is Team B, Team A is better in every single category except one, you're going to pick Team A. Yeah, like, exactly. It's the reason why we play the football games, because sometimes these teams get hot, like I say, and they win championships because of it. Like, for example, let's go. You want to go back in time a little bit, Juicy? All right, you know the franchise New York Giants, right?
Who?
The New York Giants.
Yes, I do.
Back in, was it 2007, 2008 postseason? Mm-hmm. Giants came in on a wild card.
Oh yeah, that was the 18-0 Patriots.
Yeah, the Giants played every single game on the road. Okay, and
as a 6 seed. They were number 6 seed.
As a 6 seed, and they ended up knocking off the undefeated New England Patriots for the Super Bowl championship.
That's because they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, that's exactly all it is to it. You can get hot at the right time and still win a championship.
And they were the first number 6 seed to win the Super Bowl, and they were the first team to finish the regular season with less than 10 wins to win a Super Bowl.
Hey, sometimes when the moment's right, you just get hot and you win a championship. It's kind of the same way in fantasy football too. I've seen a lot of teams come in at number 3 or number 4 seed in the league. I played in the like a fantasy football league. I've seen a 4 seed come on and win the whole entire thing a couple of times.
That's why they say, I mean, hey, all you got to do is just get in the playoffs, and you never know.
You never know. Just let it roll.
Make it.
All right. Next topic of discussion is going to be, you want to talk about some Vikings and some Saints? I heard them two teams are playing this week.
Let's talk about some Vikings and some Saints.
Okay, so this is interesting. The Saints, or the last time the 3rd seed was 13-3 was the Saints in 2011. Same quarterback. The Saints are going to be in the Superdome taking on the Vikings, and everybody remembers the Minneapolis Miracle.
The Minneapolis Miracle, yes, we can never forget.
Yeah, it was a heartbreaking loss for the Saints. But if you want to know something we published today on our Facebook page, they had a Sports Illustrated expert predict the Saints is going to. They had 2 of them both pick the Saints getting to the Super Bowl. One has them winning, and one has them losing to the Baltimore Ravens. So, I mean, a lot of people think the Saints are the most complete team in the NFL right now. So, who you got in that game, Juicy?
Well, I want to real quick been on those sports writers who talk about the Saints getting to the Super Bowl and one winning them. I'm not too sold on the Saints getting there because we know they got a lot of like evens on the road on the road in the playoffs. And also in what you just talked about, 2011 when the Saints were the number 3 seed, they were also the only team like that year to finish both in top 5 in total offense and they went up to Seattle and lost. So that doesn't mean nothing about the team. They would have worked a big team then too, and they lost. But nonetheless, I do have the Saints winning at least in the wild card round, sure, because they're playing in the dome, obviously.
I think if the 49ers lose, okay?
49ers always win, you know.
Yeah, they are the number 1 seed. But I'm talking ahead. I think the Saints are going to make it through this round. I got them winning against the Vikings. But the trip that scares me the most is that trip to Lambeau Field. Yes.
Because they got to go to the frozen tundra, as they call it.
I'd rather them play against the 49ers than them play against Green Bay.
Well,
because of the weather. Green Bay, it's cold.
Honestly, if the Saints win, they pretty much are locked in to play Green Bay.
Yeah, like that. Like if I had to pick what seed, I'd rather them be a 4th seed going to the 49ers than them being a 3 seed going against Green Bay.
Well,
because I think that's a harder road because I just think the way even though I think the 49ers are a better team than Green.
Hasn't really played that well either for most of the year. They haven't been explosive, but when the Saints got to go up in the cold weather, it just doesn't work out for me.
But they're probably gonna say, well, they played Chicago outside earlier this year and it was cold and the Saints did pretty good. But yeah, like when you get in January in Green Bay, it is completely different than whenever you went up to Chicago in the middle of September. Completely different. It's going to be extremely cold. Every hit hurts about 3 times much whenever you play in a colder weather game than you do like down here in a dome.
And that is the home field advantage that Green Bay has in the playoffs.
Yes. Because they're up there. Like, if you're stuck in a climate for a long period of time, like if you play 8 games in there, you know how it is. Like, Aaron Rodgers know how it is in the wintertime over there. He's used to it. The Saints, they play in a dome. It's like the Vikings going over there and taking on the Green Bay. They play them twice a year. So, like, the Vikings are more able to adapt to it than Green Bay is.
The only way the Saints would have a shot
Than Saints is.
the Saints would just practice all week in Green Bay in the outdoors on a field. That would be their only shot.
Yeah, you're going to have to get used to it.
Which I know they're not going to do that. They're going to practice in the warm.
Yeah. So if they're able to, like, the best situation for the Saints right now would be for them, obviously, to beat the Vikings and beat Green Bay. That's the two that's going to happen. Then they need the 49ers to lose.
If San Francisco loses, they'll host the NFC Championship.
Yeah, it's still possible they can host the NFC Championship, but the 49ers win 1 game, that's it. So every Saint fan needs to be rooting against the 49ers, not this week, but the next week.
Well, first of all, we got to take care of business with Green Bay.
Exactly. Take care of business against Green Bay and the Vikings. We keep talking ahead of time, but we got to worry about the Vikings first before you get to Green Bay, because if you don't beat the Vikings, you ain't going to Green Bay in the first place.
Exactly.
I mean,
Green Bay might have an unseasonably warm day.
Maybe. I haven't looked
as
at the.
As long as it ain't below like 20 degrees, it might be all right.
Maybe, just maybe.
We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm like you, though, Chief. I'm nervous about going up to Green Bay.
Yeah, I think that would be the toughest road for the Saints. I think that would be the toughest place to play. I'd rather play in San Francisco than in Lambeau Field in January.
But there's always a chance.
Yes, there is. So, I think we're done here, Juicy.
We are fini.
We are going to get out of here. Thank y'all for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio. My name is Chief. And for Juicy, we're signing off here. Thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week sometime. And we're going to be talking about the national championship game, LSU versus Clemson. Hopefully the Saints versus the Packers game next week. We're going to have to wait until this weekend's over with to go look at everything, get all the matchups down, and let's do it.
I agree.
Good night, Fishbowl Nation.
Y'all take care, Fishbowl.